Chapter 28 Note Writing. Note writing is a common form of social communication and written for extending an invitation or as a reply to an invitation. We write a note as an invitation when we have to invite someone or when we have to reply to an invitation. Notes of invitations. Notes of invitation can be formal or informal. Just like a letter, notes are also formal and informal. Formal notes of invitation. It is written to formally invite someone for some occasion or function. Formal notes are written to invite someone formally for some occasion. Features. A formal note of invitation contains no heading or salutation. It is generally written in the third person and words like I, we, you are completely avoided. It does not have a complimentary clause or leave taking, so thanks and yours sincerely are not used. The writer's name appears in the body of the note. The address of the writer and date should be written on the left corner below the communication. All these features are included in a formal note of invitation. Let us look at one example of a formal note of invitation. Example 1. Mrs. and Mr. Bipul Sarkar request the pleasure of the company of Mrs. and Mr. N.G. Chaudhary at dinner on Sunday, 14 December at 7 p.m. 505 C. Anand Mutt, Kolkata. You can see this is a formal note of invitation written in a very formal language. It has no heading or salutation. And it is written in a third person. And these words are avoided. You can see that I, we and you are not used in this type of formal invitation, formal note of invitation. And there is no closure, leave taking, thanks, yours sincerely. These type of salutations are not used here. Okay, the writer's name appears in the body of the note. Whoever we are inviting, their names are written in the body of the letter, like it is written here. Mrs. and Mr. Bipul Sarkar. They are being invited. The address of the writer and the date should be written on the left hand side corner. You can see here the one who is writing the letter. The address of the writer and the date should be written on the left corner below the communication. You can see the writer's address is written on the left hand side corner. In the same way, you have to write a formal note of invitation. Now, features of reply to a note of invitation. The reply is also in the third person. It repeats the date and the time mentioned in the invitation. We also reply to the invitation and we reply it in the third person language. And it also repeats the date and time mentioned in the invitation. The person who is invited may either accept the invitation or refuse to be present on the occasion. So this reply can be in the form of acceptance or refusal. Formal note of acceptance. This is how we accept an invitation. Example 2. Mrs. and Mr. N.G. Chaudhary have great pleasure in accepting the kind invitation of Mrs. and Mr. Bipul Sarkar to dine on Sunday, 14th December at 7 p.m. You can see the same invitation has been replied here as a note of acceptance. And the address is mentioned at the lower left hand side corner. So you can see the names are always mentioned in the body of the letter. This is the feature of a formal note of invitation. The writer's name appears in the body of the note. Writer's name appears. Now, Mrs. and Mr. Bipul Sarkar request the pleasure. Means Mr. and Mrs. Bipul Sarkar, they are inviting these people, Mrs. and Mr. N.G. Chaudhary. Now, in this reply, Mr. and Mrs. N.G. Chaudhary is giving a reply to them by saying Mrs. and Mr. N.G. Chaudhary have great pleasure in accepting the kind invitation of Mrs. and Mr. Bipul Sarkar. So this is how we accept a note of invitation. Now turn to the next page. We have a formal note of refusal. When we have to refuse an invitation, we write it in a very formal language. Mrs. and Mr. N.G. Chaudhary thank Mrs. and Mr. Bipul Sarkar for their kind invitation to dine on Sunday, 14 December, but regret that a previous engagement prevents them from accepting the invitation. 257 Kamak Street, Kolkata. You can see how a refusal note has been written in a very formal language. It is not at all rude and written in short. Okay. Now, here is a similar note that we have to write formal notes for the following. Invite your colleague Mrs. Rajan to dinner on Saturday, 23rd May at 8 p.m. Okay, it is similar to the examples that we have discussed here. Okay, so you have to write this particular invitation in this way. It is similar to the examples that we have discussed. Invitation, acceptance and refusal. It would be the same. Okay, now we will look at an informal notes of invitation. Informal notes of invitation, acceptance or refusal are similar to ordinary friendly letters. However, in informal notes, more formal language is used. So, informal notes of invitation, they are similar to friendly letters, okay, or informal letters, but the language is formal. Features: an informal note of invitation contains salutation. For example, Dear Shruti. So, here is the difference of informal notes of invitation. You will always include a salutation like dear. It is not written in the third person. So, you will find words like I, we, you are used while writing these. So, you will find these words used in informal notes. It has a complimentary closure or polite leave taking. It has a unlike formal notes of invitation, it has complimentary closure. Okay, yours sincerely, thank you, thanking you, like that. The writer's address is written towards the left corner of the communication. The same as formal note of invitation. Here too we write the address. The writer's address is written towards the left corner after the communication. Informal note of invitation. Left corner after the communication. So you can see here how it has been written. The first comes on the left hand side corner. What comes? The address part. The writer's address is written towards the left corner of the communication. Left corner. Here it is. 25 Vidanpalli, Kolkata. There is the date. This is how you have to mention the date. 28th July 2021. Dear Somya, we are organizing a get-together at our residence on Saturday, 4th August. We shall be pleased if you could join us for dinner at 8 p.m. on that day. Yours sincerely, Kamini. So, complimentary closure is mentioned here. Okay, unlike formal note. Features of reply or informal notes of invitation. Now we have seen how to write an informal note of invitation. Now if we have to reply to these notes, how would we reply it? Informal notes of invitation are written in an informal style. The date and time mentioned in the invitation are repeated in the reply. So always when we have to reply to the invitation, we do repeat the time and date. Okay. And it is written in informal style. Informal note of acceptance. 7 Main Puralnane, Kolkata 127-29 July 2021. So the address of the sender has been written here. Dear Kamini, thanks for your invitation. I shall be very delighted to join you for dinner on Saturday, 4th August at 8 p.m. Yours sincerely, Somya. So here you can see Soumya has replied to the invitation as an acceptance to the invitation. Now imagine that Soumya is unable to make it to the get together. Write a note of refusal for Kamini. Now if she has to write a note of refusal, how would it be? The same way the address will be written, and here it starts in this way. Dear Kamini, thanks for your invitation. I am sorry that a previous engagement will prevent me from joining you for dinner on Saturday. Yours sincerely, Soumya. So you can see the language is informal, yet the reply is not at all rude. It is written in a very polite way and in short. Okay, so here is a similar exercise written given here. Write informal notes for the following. You are Shubham. Invite your friend Akash for a get together on 15th September 2021 at your residence. So it is the same. It is same as what we discussed here. The examples. Okay, the answer would be the same. So that's how we write a note of invitation and a note of acceptance and a note of refusal. Thank you.